You know that feeling when a noise wakes you up? A car alarm, a big clap of thunder? But have you ever been woken up by the opposite? By silence? Pure, dead silence? That's what we're going to get into.
This quote from the blog Practical Engineering just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It's that weird, unsettling moment when your brain starts to realize all those background hums of modern life, the refrigerator, the air conditioner, the faint buzz from your electronics, they've all just stopped. The power's out. But we are not talking about your average run-of-the-mill outage here.
So let's ask the question, what happens when the lights don't come back on in an hour? What if it's days, or weeks, or even months? That's what we're digging into, how a familiar inconvenience can spiral into a full-on catastrophe. To really wrap our heads around what we're facing, we've got to define it. Turns out, scientists have a pretty specific name for this kind of worst-case scenario. It's called catastrophic electricity loss, or CEL, and the definition alone is pretty chilling. A huge number of people, we're talking a significant slice of the world's population, without power for over a month. Just let that sink in. This isn't just a storm taking out a few power lines. We're talking about a total systemic failure, the kind of thing our modern world has, thankfully, never really had to deal with. Okay, so this looks like a big tangled mess, right? Well, that's kind of the point. This is how scientists model our world, as this incredibly complex web of systems that all depend on each other. You've got food, water, communications, fuel, they're all tangled together. But see that one in the middle, the electric grid? It's connected to everything. It's the linchpin. You pull that one thread, and the whole fabric of society starts to unravel. And that unraveling, it happens fast. Like, shockingly fast. It isn't just about the lights going out. It's a domino effect, a cascading failure where one system collapsing takes the next one down with it, and then the next, and the next. Let's just walk through the first 3 days. In the first hour, boom, the whole grid is gone. Just 8 hours later, the backup batteries at cell towers start to die. Your phone might still have a charge, but there's no network to connect to. By day 2, the water towers have run dry. You turn on the tap, nothing. And within 72 hours, even critical places like hospitals and radio stations are starting to run dangerously low on fuel for their backup generators. It's a terrifyingly rapid descent.
So here's the bottom line. When you lose power on this scale, you lose everything else that comes with it. No way to talk to people, no clean water, no gas for your car, no way to move goods around. Our entire way of life is built on this one simple, powerful assumption, that the lights will always turn on. Now, of all these system failures, there is one that becomes the most terrifying in the long run, the complete collapse of our food supply. I mean, think about it. Every single step, from growing the food, to processing it, to shipping it, to keeping it cold, it all needs electricity. So what happens when that's gone? Researchers modeled 2 main ways this could all play out. The first is a massive cyber attack, a coordinated strike that takes down the grid for weeks or even months. The result would be severe food shortages. But the second scenario, well, it's even worse. It's a high-altitude electromagnetic pulse, HEMP. That's basically the energy burst from a nuclear weapon detonated way up in the atmosphere, and it could literally fry electronics across an entire continent. Recovery from that? It could take a year, maybe more. And the impact wouldn't be a shortage, it would be a catastrophic famine. And these 2 graphs really show the brutal difference. On the left, you've got the cyber attack. See that? It's a scary dip in food availability, for sure, but it starts to recover. Now, look at the right, the HEMP event. That's not a dip, that's an absolute freefall. The drop is deeper, it lasts way longer, and the recovery is painfully, agonizingly slow. This is the difference between a society facing a crisis and a society on the brink of total collapse. In that worst-case HEMP scenario, food consumption could plummet by over 60%, and it would stay that low for months. To put that into perspective for you, that's comparable to the Dutch famine during World War II, a disaster that killed tens of thousands of people. We're talking about that level of human suffering, but spread across a massive, continental scale. Now, I know this all sounds like something straight out of a disaster movie, but this isn't just some hypothetical nightmare. A natural event with the power to cause this kind of chaos has actually happened before, long before we ever built our modern world on a foundation of electricity. This description, it's almost poetic, right? It comes from a Baltimore newspaper all the way back in 1859. People were seeing something they'd never seen before, something we now call the Carrington event. It was, quite simply, the most powerful solar storm in recorded history. So, this massive solar storm slams into Earth. The northern lights were so bright you could see them down in Cuba. People in the Rocky Mountains actually thought it was morning and started making breakfast. But it also totally fried the most advanced technology of the day, the telegraph system. Wires were throwing sparks, operators were getting zapped, and some telegraph stations literally caught on fire. And get this, it was so powerful that some operators disconnected their batteries and found they could send messages using only the electrical current from the aurora itself. Wow.
Now just try to imagine that exact same storm hitting our world today. Our modern power grid, with all its incredibly sensitive electronics, is so much more fragile than a simple telegraph wire. The damage would be in the trillions of dollars, and we could easily be looking at widespread blackouts that last for months, if not longer. So, with a threat this massive looming over us, what can anyone even do? Well, while the big players work on hardening the grid, for the rest of us, it really boils down to one critical thing: communication. If the normal systems fail, a simple hand-cranked weather radio can still get you information. A pair of walkie-talkies can keep you in touch with your immediate community. And for true long-range contact, you'd need something totally off-grid, like a satellite phone. When you step back and look at it, it all comes down to this one idea. We've built this amazing, interconnected world. It's truly a network of networks. But it's all resting on a single foundation of electricity. A foundation that, as we've seen, might just be more fragile than we like to admit. So the question we're left with is, how strong are those connections, really?